Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news from China Lake, the City Council, the Water District, today's KZGN Talking Points editorial, and more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Wicknick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Brian Wolfcolt from the NOC-WD Public Affairs Office provided this news from China Lake. Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division successfully supported the K-46 tanker with the most detailed advanced weapons survivability test series ever conducted at the Weapons Survivability Lab on China Lake. The KC-46, a refueling aircraft, is a derivative of the commercially available Federal Aviation Administration certified Boeing 767. Excellent test, said K-46 lead engineer Scott Walker, weapons survivability expert. These have never been done before, so I'm happy to say that we met all of our objectives. I believe we are advancing the state of the art in understanding vulnerability in aircraft. The tests outlined by the KC-46 live test and evaluation program will be used to assess K-46 system-level survivability in high-fidelity operational environments against ballistic and advanced threats. The results provided a wide range of data instrumental in mitigating worst-case scenarios for which the aircraft, which directly improves and preserves warfighting capability. There were over 330 channels collecting raw data, 10 high-speed cameras recording 10,000 to 100,000 frames per second, and 30 real-time video feeds, said Eric Brickson, K-46 engineer. We had a very extensive list of requirements, and NOC-WD met them all. Representatives from NOC-WD, Boeing, the U.S. Air Force, and the Institute for Defense Analysis were among several of the organizations and stakeholders present to witness the event. It was a very successful test, said Colonel Chris Combs from the Air Force. We designed these tests against the aircraft to see how it would perform so we know if the people, whether they are pilots or operators or passengers, could survive on this plane under the most relevant of circumstances. According to the K-46 Program Office, plans call for the procurement of 179 K-46s to replace one-third of the existing aerial refueling fleet. At yesterday's council meeting, the council presented employee service awards to employees who have reached milestones of 5 or more years of employment. 15-year recognition went to Officer Elizabeth Franco, Karen Harker, and Sergeant Ryan Maroney. 5-year awards went to Lauren Colt and Lorenzo Hernandez. The council also received and filed the investment report for a 4-month period ending April 30th, 2015 from Finance Director Rachel McQuiston. Government Code Section 53646 and the city's investment policy require that the treasurer of the city of Ridgecrest submit a quarterly investment report to the city council. The reports show the summary of investments for the 4-month period ending April 30th. The reports show where the city's money is invested, value, yield, and interest accrued. A majority of the city's cash is invested in the local agency investment fund, which is a money market fund that is administered by the state treasurer. It is a high-quality investment in terms of safety, liquidity, and yield, which are the primary objectives of the city's investment policy. So far, they have invested $6.3 million. Next, the council accepted a Department of Alcohol Beverage Control grant. The California Department of Alcohol Beverage Control has awarded this one-time grant to the City of Ridgecrest Police Department in the amount of $40,000. This grant is designated as a multi-agency grant covering the Eastern Sierras from California City to Bishop, California. This grant is to be administered by the Ridgecrest Police Department with reimbursement to allied agencies through the City of Ridgecrest Finance Department. The grant goal is to implement a comprehensive ABC enforcement program with a strong emphasis on deterring minor juvenile access to alcohol by targeting problematic ABC licensed establishments, updating current ABC enforcement procedures with training to patrol officers, conducting impact operations at licensed establishments within the jurisdiction of the Ridgecrest Police Department, California City Police Department, Bishop Police Department, and Inyo County Sheriff's Department, and increase communication and involvement with community groups. The departments will be conducting shoulder tap operations and minor decoy operations. They'll be training neighborhood law enforcement agencies in ABC enforcement procedures and operations. The grant period begins July 1st, 2015, and ends June 30th, 2016. The police department plans to use approximately 75% of the grant funds to fund overtime for sworn personnel to implement and conduct the enforcement programs and to purchase limited equipment to assist with the project within the city of Ridgecrest. In news from the Water District, KZGN field reporter Tanya Powell provided an update on the Water District's Cash for Grass incentive program. The Water District drawing will be tomorrow, Friday, at the Indian Wells Valley Water District headquarters. At 2 o'clock, 10 lucky winners will be revealed of 156 names submitted. For the winners' efforts in converting to a xeriscape landscape and reduce outdoor water use, the district will pay 10 winning program participants $1 per square foot to replace up to 2,000 square feet of living turf and to help offset the cost of removing living turf. The Indian Wells Valley Water District Board of Directors approved the Cash for Grass program March 9th. General Manager Don Zadiba reported the Cash for Grass program made the cut to receive Prop 84 grant funds at the Indian Wells Valley Cooperative Groundwater Management Group May meeting. Zadiba said Inyo Mona Integrated Regional Water Management submitted 9 projects for grant funds per Prop 84 on stormwater grant program funds. He announced the Cash for Grass, one of 7 of those programs to make the cut. Presently, the program has funds to afford those who surrender front yard grass and replace it with xeriscape landscape $1 per square foot, up to a total of $2,000. Going forward, the Cash for Grass program will depend on Prop 84 funding. 7 of the 9 programs submitted are now in the hands of the state, Zadiba said. The Cash for Grass program is now in a holding process. It will filter through the grant determination process and procedures. Ultimately, the successful programs will most likely be determined by end of the year. At that time, funds could potentially be awarded to continue the Cash for Grass program. Now it's time for the 48th KZGN News Talking Points editorial. Should elected officials be forced to participate in internet social media sites? But first, a comment received about the last editorial titled, "Are decisions made at council meetings based on politics, solid engineering data, or maybe both?" Harry wrote the following long reply. "If what you say is true, then the system is flawed. To only allow those who step into the docket control, the debate is an injustice at its worst. Those in leadership positions need to listen to and consider all forms of input into a discussion before making a decision. If there are county commissioners who are serving and avoid social media, shame on them. They are not doing their job. If they need to ask questions, the docket is not the only place they should be asking them." Well, Harry, you made a lot of comments there. Once again, the main point of the editorial was that the best way a citizen can influence an elected body's decision is by appearing in person. I didn't say that people that appeared in person was the only ones that controlled the discussion. I want to say again, this isn't the only way to influence the decision, but appearing in person is the most powerful way. Elected people do consider all comments received, whether written, telephone, or even meeting at Albertsons and talking about an issue. However, those methods often only reach one of the 5 members making the decision. This leaves the others with other information to base their decision on. When you appear in person and provide comments, all of the board hears them, and they all have the opportunity to discuss your comments with you. As far as the use of the internet, social media, etc., some elected officials do not use them. You say they should. Maybe you're right, but there is nothing that requires an elected official to consider anything that isn't presented within the regular official meeting held to discuss the topic. I have been told by many elected officials that they never look at blogs or Facebook for information. While I have participated in those media, I know there are some elected officials that don't. While most of us are comfortable with the internet and all its communication capabilities, there are still some that are not comfortable. I know one elected official that never uses email. His wife does it for him. I had one elected official once tell me that as long as those blogs allow anonymous comments, he would not participate. He'd be more willing to hold respectful discussion with anyone where he knew who the person was. But he would not subject himself to the abusive tactics some people use because they can't be held accountable for their comments. Just look at our local blogs. How often do you see any comment from any of our elected officials? Not very often. Some never make comment. Now, you might not like it, but that's the way it is. To sit and believe that you are influencing the decision by making comments on a blog, you are naive. The law only requires the elected officials to consider properly submitted information in the decision process. In conclusion, again, my main point is that to influence the decision process, the most powerful way to do so is by personally appearing at the meeting and providing your comments. It's not the only way, but it is the most powerful. Now on to today's editorial. Should elected officials be forced to participate in internet social media sites? Well, this kind of ties back to my previous reply to Harry about how people can best influence decisions by elected officials. Part of Harry's comment was as follows. If they are county commissioners who are serving and avoid social media, shame on them. They are not doing their job. If they need to ask questions, the docket is not the only place they should be asking them. So what do you think? First, we can replace his words, county commissioners, with any elected official. Do you think it's shameful for an elected official to not participate in internet social media? Well, I can tell you from experience that I know many elected officials avoid social media sites like the plague. I have always participated in them. I view them as a good source for providing information to the public. This is because I believe a lot of the time that the public doesn't have all the information they need to determine whether an elected official is making good decisions. And social media sites provide another means to get information out and receive public input. If you feel an elected official should be available via these sites, then you need to make your opinion known. Ask the candidates during election forums whether they will make themselves available via internet sites. If they say no, then let them know that is not acceptable to you. As one that knows quite a few elected officials, I know they would participate if they knew who they were discussing an issue with. The anonymous comment capability is troublesome to many elected officials. There are times elected officials take a lot of verbal abuse, and they know that's going in. If they run for office, then they accept the fact that people may make unfavorable comments directed at them. But some believe to participate in anonymous internet sites goes above and beyond. Most people that participate in these sites are respectful and just want to discuss an issue. But then there are a few that see these sites as a way to attack a person. Some people like to throw unsubstantiated personal attack bombs against an elected official. While the elected official has to take it, these comments many times hurts their families. Like former Mayor Clark pleaded with people, it's okay to be tough on the issues, but not on the person. A good, strong debate can be accomplished without personal attacks. Most elected officials see these internet sites as a means for personal attacks. Many people would say something from a computer keyboard they would never say to a person's face. Another thing I know some elected officials find offensive is the use of profanity by writers. Some of these social media sites have no restriction on profanity, so the elected official will not participate. There is nothing requiring them to read things with language they find offensive. But when you get replies from, say, Senator Boxer's office email, do you think she's the one responding to you? I would bet almost 99% certain it's some office staffer responding to you. This staffer screens all the email and social media for their boss. Seldom do these high-level elected officials actually read these things. They only read what a staffer forwards to them. But when you get to our local level, we don't have staffers screening the abusive stuff. Local elected officials take it themselves. Please understand, I'm not saying that the system is broke. It is the way it is. However, elected officials are not required to use social media. Remember, discussions of topics can be accomplished with respect, without profanity or personal attack. The discussion can even be very heated and emotional, but respect and decorum is necessary for civil discussions. In conclusion, yes, I do believe that elected officials should participate in internet social media. It is a good communication tool, but they're not required to do so. I'm Tom Widnick, and that's what I think. I'd like to know what you think. If you have any comments about this editorial, or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. Across the nation, National Weather Service is forecasting a risk of severe thunderstorms capable of large hail, damaging wind gusts, and a couple of tornadoes across parts of the central and northern plains. The areas at greatest risk will be southeastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, and extreme portions of southwestern Iowa and northwestern Missouri. Temperatures across the nation, Massachusetts came in at 55, Carolinas came in at 75, Ohio Valley 74, Atlanta, Georgia 69 degrees, Northern Florida 82 degrees, Texas 78 degrees, Kansas 78 degrees, Colorado 63, New Mexico 72, Arizona 80 degrees, Utah 65, Montana 58, Idaho 56 degrees, Southern Oregon 60 degrees, San Francisco came in at 56, and Los Angeles came in at 61. For us here locally in the IWV, tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 58, breezy with a south-southwest wind 10 to 20 miles per hour with a gust as high as 25. Friday will be mostly sunny with a high near 86, light and variable wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday night will be partly cloudy with a low around 59, calm wind from west-northwest about 5 miles per hour. Saturday will be mostly sunny with a high near 89, southeast wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low around 62, west wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And on Sunday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high near 94, calm wind from the east-southeast 5 miles per hour. And that is your local forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of your KZGN news.
Thanks, Keith. Now, Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Thursday afternoon to everyone. Start with the Angels last night in Anaheim. Tampa Bay defeated the Halos by a score of 5-4. The Angels now have lost 2 games in a row. On the homestand, they had a 10-game homestand. They went 6 wins and 4 losses. The Angels will fly today. They'll open up a series over the weekend in the Bronx against the Yankees. All right, the Dodgers win again. They beat Colorado. St. Louis beats Milwaukee last night. St. Louis leads the Central Division. We'll put the standings up in a few minutes. The Diamondbacks win again. They beat Atlanta 9-8. They're playing pretty well. Mark Trumbo, a home run in that game. The Jays beat the Nationals 8-0. The Yankees over the Mariners 3-1. Now the Yankees are actually leading the East right now, the American League. They're 4 games over 500. Pretty good start there off too. Boy, the A's win again. They're starting to creep up, play better baseball. They beat the Tigers, where the Tigers came into Anaheim, lost all 4 games, and the Tigers now, as a team, cumulatively have lost their last 7 games and 8 out of 9. Kansas City wins again. They beat Cleveland. The Astros continue to lead the West. They now have a 6-game lead over the Angels as they beat the Orioles 3-1 in Houston last night, and the Mets over the Padres 7-3 in San Diego. All right, up on the standings board, you can see that the American League West, Houston over the Angels, and then Texas not too far behind. In the Central, Kansas City and Minnesota, Detroit starting to fade. The Tigers still 2 games over 500. In the East, the Yankees and Tampa Bay battling it out. Tampa Bay 1 game behind the Yanks. Over in the West, the Dodgers and the Giants battling out for the rights there to get to the playoffs. In St. Louis and the Pirates. And then Central, St. Louis has a 6-game lead over Pittsburgh, and they haven't had Adam Wainwright, so a good year so far for the Cardinals. And then over in the East, the Nationals, who 2 weeks ago were on fire, they've cooled down a little bit, but they still lead the Mets, who are off to one of their best starts in the last 10 years. All right, NHL hockey fans, last night, game number 1, they played that down in Florida. Tampa Bay losing to the Blackhawks of Chicago 2-1. And now tonight, best of 7 starts in Oakland, NBA Championship Series. It'll be Golden State and Cleveland. Now Golden State, 42 wins, 3 losses on the season at home. They don't lose very much up in Northern California. And Cleveland, since January, has been an extremely good road team. So something will give. Curry against LeBron. Stay tuned. Starts at 6 o'clock local time, and that is tonight. Game 2 will be Saturday in Oakland. And for the hockey series, for those following, Game 2 will be Friday night at Tampa Bay. That's your sports for this Thursday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing us, KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station.